We hear the term step up all the time in sports, meaning guys need to get better. They need to improve. They need to fill in for veteran players or guys that have moved on. And such is the case all over the place at Ohio State coming up this spring. We got Pat Murphy on the line for Bucknuts 247 Sports to help us break down the Bucks. Pat, how you doing today?
I'm good. Enjoying what kind of football offseason we have here and getting ready for spring practice. It's started to get a little warmer here in Columbus these last couple of days, which has been nice after quite a bit of snow and some real cold temperatures. So hopefully spring's on the way.
Absolutely. We're right there with you. It looks a lot warmer from the inside looking outside, but at least that means there are blue skies. So you get outside and a little bit brisk. But for mid to late February, I am definitely not complaining because it could be 20 or 25 degrees less.
Yeah.
Okay. When we look at the quarterback position, bam, that's the obvious. Who is going to step up in a big way to be able to take on the team that is considered the best in the Big Ten and a top 5 team in the country, despite having, I believe the statistic is, for the first time in about 50 years, no players back who threw a pass the previous season. So that quarterback battle is going to be something else.
Absolutely. And probably the biggest story of the offseason when it comes to Ohio State, and certainly up there in college football. Obviously replacing a guy like Justin Fields, who just 2 years ago was a Heisman Trophy finalist, and despite what you may hear from some NFL people right now, was a pretty good player for Ohio State, very good player. So the standard under Ryan Day is not going to drop. I don't think that they expect whoever wins this starting job, be it C.J. Stroud, Jack Miller, or freshman Kyle McCord, to play quite to Fields level out the gates. But the expectation for Ohio State quarterbacks is to come in and be in that Heisman conversation and lead your team to a Big Ten title and the college football playoff. So that's pretty high expectations for 3 guys that, as you mentioned, haven't thrown a collegiate pass between them. C.J. Stroud and Jack Miller at least have the benefit of both being in the system for a year, learning the playbook, seeing Justin Fields work. They did each get on the field in a couple games. Both got a rushing touchdown, but like I said, neither threw a pass. And Kyle McCord, a 5-star quarterback out of Philadelphia, Ryan Day probably could have gone after any quarterback in the country in this last recruiting cycle. He chose Kyle McCord. So there's clearly a reason there. But yeah, if we're talking about stepping up, one of these guys is going to need to. I think there's going to be a quarterback battle that's probably going to go all the way into fall camp and maybe late into fall camp, for a couple reasons. One, I think these guys are all probably pretty even. And, without any major experience, there's no, advantage to any of them right now. And 2, I think, and, no one's going to say this on the inside of the program, at least not publicly, but you want to make sure one of these guys doesn't decide to up and transfer before the start of the season. And, in today's transfer portal era, guys transfer even once the season starts, or at least enter the portal. But, with only 3 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster, I think you want to make sure you have all these guys engaged. So, even if, again, like I said, even if it won't be admitted publicly, I do think Ryan Day and the staff will probably let this go on as long as possible, just to keep guys engaged and make sure that all 3 of these guys feel like they have a shot until they absolutely need to make a decision, or it's just very clear. But yeah, those are 3 guys that are going to be very crucial for at least one of them to step up in a big way for Ohio State in 2021.